County Board of County Commission meeting at 10 a.m., July 15th, 2025. At this time, silence all electronic devices and mute your microphones. Let's stand for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Honorable Commission and community, this is Chaplain Anthony Scheidt, Pasco County Fire Rescue, privileged to give the invocation. Let us pray. Almighty God, we thank you for this opportunity to conduct our civil business today. We ask that you'll grant protection to our policemen, firemen, school teachers, community workers, and our school children. Please protect our community. Thank you for this opportunity. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Madam, Monsieur Clerk, would you please call the roll?
District 1, Commissioner Oakley.
Here.
District 2, Commissioner Wakeman.
Present.
District 4, Commissioner Yeager.
Here.
District 5, Commissioner Mariano.
Here.
District 3, Chairman Starkey.
I am here. And now is the time for public comment. Citizens are given an opportunity to comment on any current or future agenda item coming before the board and on other business under the board's purview. Today's public comment will be handled as follows. First, we will take public comment from those who are here in person. Then we will take public comment from those who have pre-registered for a WebEx link and are currently on queue. We request that when you address the board, comments are not directed personally against a commissioner or team member, but rather directed at the issues. This provides mutual respect between the board members and the public. After stating your name and address for the clerk, a 3-minute timer will be activated and a green light will be shown on the podium. After 2 minutes, a yellow light will indicate you have 1 minute left, and when your time is up, a red light will be displayed. 3 beeps will sound, and you should close your comments, and WebEx participants will be disconnected automatically when their time is up. Monsieur Clerk, do we have anyone signed up?
We have no one signed up in advance.
Okay, is anyone online?
We have no one online.
Is there anyone here in the room this morning that would like to address the public? Good morning.
Good morning. I've just got a question. Nancy Hazelwood,
Well, you know, we
34110.
don't really answer questions, but you can try.
I would like to take something off the consent agenda, and I was wondering if I was too late to do that.
Can public pull off the
No,
consent agenda?
public can't
Yeah.
pull. You can.
Just go ahead and make your comments.
You can make your comment
Yeah.
on the agenda item, and
Well-
maybe a board member would pull.
Okay, so my question is, I'd like to hear it in totality for C13,
It's pulled.
excuse me, for C14.
Pulled.
I'm not sure, and I just want to hear the whole thing, and I'm sure it's probably fine, but I'd like it gone over for the public.
It's already pulled.
It's already pulled.
Was pulled
Thank
by
you.
Commissioner Waitman and Commissioner Oakley.
And David Engel.
And David.
Lots of pulls. Okay, is there anyone else who wishes to speak to us today? Okay, then moving on, that will conclude the public comment. Now is the time for resolutions. Can we please start with the first one?
Resolution number 25277, a resolution by the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, declaring July 20th to the 26th, 2025 as pretrial, probation, and parole supervision week in Pasco County. Whereas misdemeanor probation provides individuals with a structured opportunity to rebuild their lives under supervision, offering essential case management that fosters rehabilitation, accountability, and personal growth. And whereas misdemeanor probation professionals are dedicated to fostering positive change and offering unwavering support to individuals in their journey toward accountability. And whereas misdemeanor probation professionals collaborate closely with law enforcement, judges, court officials, community service agencies, and treatment providers to enable offenders to continue working while meeting their treatment and community service obligations. And whereas misdemeanor probation professionals uphold the highest ethical standards, demonstrating integrity, professionalism, and dedication to the citizens of Pasco County. And whereas misdemeanor probation professionals ensure compliance with sentencing guidelines, reinforcing justice and accountability within the community. And whereas misdemeanor probation professionals provide case management, actively promote prevention, and facilitate the collection of restitution to aid victims who have suffered financial loss, ensuring both financial and emotional support in their recovery. And whereas pretrial, probation, and parole supervision week presents an opportunity to recognize and appreciate the contributions of Pasco County's misdemeanor probation professionals whose commitment makes a difference in the lives of those placed on probation. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, that said board hereby proclaims the week of July 20th to the 26th, 2025 as pretrial, probation, and parole supervision week in Pasco County, and commends the contributions of the Pasco County misdemeanor probation professionals whose unwavering commitment, professionalism, and collaborative efforts continue to make a meaningful impact on the lives of offenders while fostering a just society. Done and resolved in regular session with the quorum present and voting this 15th day of July 2025.
Move approval. Second.
All in favor? Aye. This is, who did this one?
I did.
Waitman.
Okay, here, Mr. Martin, you have the mic.
Thank you, ma'am. Well, you guys have not necessarily the most exciting sounding job that the county has, but a very important one. And the balance that you all have to hold with keeping, try to keep young people on task and try to straighten them out, and the level of compassion that you have to have while holding accountability for the crimes they have committed is a very big job. And thank you for your dedication to this line of work and to the folks that end up in trouble. And thanks for keeping a good spirit about you and hanging tough with these folks day in and day out. So glad you're here today.
Okay.
Commissioner Oakley.
Yep. I want to thank you for all that you do for citizens of Pasco County, and the work you do is very, very important. So every day get up with a smile on your face because you got a hard job to do, but you do it very well, and we certainly appreciate everything y'all do. Thank you.
Commissioner Yeager.
So again, thank you for what you guys do. I look at your job and I think of all the people all the lives you guys touched, how, you basically are giving them second chances. You're sharing stories of other people, other success stories. You're pouring into them. And most of all, you're giving them hope and encouragement. And that's not easy to do day to day because you get very emotionally tied to the person and you want them to succeed so bad. So just thank you.
And Commissioner Mariano.
I'll say thank you as well. You mean people at very tough times in their lives and help them get through it and hopefully better direction to move forward. So thank you for your service.
And finally, me. So I was involved with the county long before I ever became an elected official, and had no idea even then that we had this kind of department. So it was really a surprise to me that we did this. So as far as I know, this might be, is this the first time we've had you up for a resolution?
Yes, ma'am.
That's what I was thinking. 16 years. Jack, you've been here how long? Long time.
21.
So it's great to see you here, and what I really like is that the public is learning that we handle this and that we have these fine employees who are taking care of our citizens in their time of need. So, and our county administrator would like to say something as well.
I think just to pile on to the accolades, but I think what's all the work that you do is important, but really what makes the difference is you guys are positive role models in the community, and that's really what you serve as. Your example sets the tone in addition to just the work that you do. So just thank you for being role models for our citizens, those that have gotten into trouble, but you're really a positive pillar here in the community, so thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Shall we stand up behind? Oh, yeah, you may have the mic.
Have them speak.
So I'm Tracy Toner, I'm the misdemeanor probation manager. And on behalf of my team, I'd like to thank the commission here for your support of our division and for this resolution today, which is the first one we've ever received, recognizing this pretrial probation and parole week. It's through case management that my team is able to provide both direction and encouragement to the offenders, helping them take meaningful steps forward while still holding them accountable for the orders of the courts. It's rewarding to see them when they change for the better, and your acknowledgement today really reinforces the importance of what we do. I'd also like to thank our director, Brian Hoban. It's his leadership, genuine appreciation, and shared passion for what we do that really make a difference and motivate us to bring our best to this role each and every day. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And so Commissioner Waitman, you want to go down and we'll stand up here?
Yep.
Okay. Yes, Seth, yes. You got some shorter folks behind you.
I got all the tall guys.
Here, you can slide this way.
Thank you.
Now the parks. RS2.
Resolution number 25278, a resolution by the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, declaring the month of July 2025 as Park and Recreation Month in Pasco County. Whereas Pasco County's Parks, Recreation, and Natural Resources Departments, programs, and facilities are essential services that enhance our quality of life by providing a balance of athletic, social, cultural, and recreational opportunities, building self-esteem, teaching life skills, encouraging environmental awareness, and providing public spaces for every citizen to enjoy. And whereas Pasco County's Parks, Recreation, and Natural Resources facilities support tournaments and special events that boost our economy, enhance property values, attract new business, and increase tourism. And whereas the Pasco County Parks, Recreation, and Natural Resource Department provides a diverse inventory of facilities, fields, preserves, and conservation areas, as well as campsites, ramps for water access, beach areas, picnic areas, playgrounds, and swimming pools for the public to enjoy. And whereas the Parks, Recreation, and Natural Resources Department maintains and manages facilities that help build strong communities, excuse me, support family unity, and strengthen neighborhood involvement. And whereas our parks, trails, and blue water showcase ecological beauty, provide space to enjoy nature, help maintain clean air and water, and protect wildlife. And whereas recreational and outdoor activities, adaptive recreation, special needs summer camps, inclusive programming, and leisure education are essential to the well-being and rehabilitation of countless individuals in our community. And whereas the Pasco County Parks, Recreation, and Natural Resources Department oversees 38 park locations and more than 20,000 acres of parkland and open space. And whereas launched in 1985, this year marks the 40th anniversary of Park and Recreation Month. This year's theme, Build Together, Play Together, reminds us of the contributions of parks and recreation professionals who maintain our counties and country's parks. And whereas the local and state parks maintained by the Pasco County Parks, Recreation, and Natural Resources Department are vital to the well-being and quality of life of every citizen and visitor of Pasco County. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, that said board hereby declares July 2025 as Park and Recreation Month in Pasco County and celebrates the dedicated work of the Pasco County Parks, Recreation, and Natural Resources Department. Done and resolved in regular session with a quorum present and voting this 15th day of July 2025.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
This is my resolution, but I'll go last, so I'll let Commissioner Oakley speak first
Yep.
if you'd like to.
Man, all I can do is thank you every day y'all are out there. You got a tough job, because the fact that you got all these fields all over the county, you have more people wanting to be on those fields than anyone. I mean, if we were charging a greater amount of money, we'd bring in all kind of money for this job, so. Because people love to be on the fields, and y'all do a good job at keeping the fields up and all. So we need to, as a board, we need to make sure we support you now and in the future, so, because we're not slowing down anytime soon. The growth is coming, and a lot of kids are coming to Pasco County, and they need to have good fields. So thank you.
Mr. Waitman?
Thank you, Chair. You know, there's politics, and then there's sports field politics. I've learned in this job, and that's probably the more difficult of the two, to be quite honest, in balancing the wants and the needs and the demands of field times and parents and coaches. So, know that we recognize those challenges, that you guys walk a tightrope trying to figure out and balance every day to provide exceptional service and a fantastic experience to everybody who uses our fields. So glad you guys are here today, and thank you for all your work.
Mr. Yeager?
So one thing I want to touch on is when you think of parks, people have weddings at parks, they have birthday parties, right? So it's more than just the fields. But, as a mom of 5, we have spent so much time at parks and fields and, helping restore those fields and just making memories of, it feels like yesterday our kids were playing t-ball. Like, there's so many memories made in parks. So just thank you guys for everything you do, for keeping everything nice. I'm out in Moon Lake Park every 2 weeks, and I know how hard you guys work on that park to keep it beautiful. And it's just absolutely gorgeous, so thank you.
Commissioner?
I think you guys at Parks have the best job.
We do too.
You get to have fun with people. Like we just had the pretrial folks up here, et cetera. Different type of thing. You guys get to see most people having fun, other than the sports politics of who's getting one field where. But and what you guys do is great. I was up at Veterans Park over the weekend with my grandson, 2 years old, just having a ball in the splash pad. Families after families were coming in, coming out, probably like saying 20, 30 minutes, whatever. There was a birthday party going on. Just that quality of life of having a place to go. And what you guys have done with SunWest over the past year, 2 years has been phenomenal. Thank you for the board for supporting it as well. It's going to be an awesome Scallop and Music Fest coming up on July 24th, and people are going to be really excited about that one. And what you guys did with the Wiregrass Sports Ranch, when we had the trouble with Rad Sports coming through, you guys stepping in to make that happen, monumental achievement and just a phenomenal job. So thank you guys for the great work you do, and I don't feel bad for you, I feel great for you.
So I am very happy to be the sponsor of this, and as everyone knows here, this is a big part of why I'm a commissioner, the parks. My husband and I spent 25 years being youth coaches, and he continues on the board of Positive Coaching Alliance, which has a presence here in Pasco County. Last week I took my grandsons to SunWest, and they, my husband, my son, and my grandsons all did the wake park, and absolutely loved it. And I was just thinking, every vacation that my husband and I go on, we always go to a park, whether it's a county park where we go, a city park, a state, federal, or national park. It's just a big part of what we like to do. And so I think we have such a wonderful park system, but my gosh, we are straining. And something else that comes to mind during COVID, what our Parks Department guys went through. I remember that someone spit on someone at, I think it was Starkey Wilderness Park, because they weren't allowed to go in. I mean, and I know what some of you have dealt with the Gulf Harbors. Some very passionate Gulf Harbors folks as we work to set up our park. So I'm just really glad that we're doing this here today. And as you can hear, we have great support. You have great support here for what you're doing, and we'll put our money where our mouth is. Yeah.
Can I
Oh, yeah.
pile on
Mr.
here real
Yes,
quick?
sorry, I forgot.
I would just like to say, Keith, the creativity of your team just blended with just the natural diversity of our county. I mean, coast to woods to riverines. You guys are able to make a little something for everyone out there. And I think it's a beautiful thing. And I also just admire the role that you guys fill every day as educators, environmental stewards, and community builders, really. And so just grateful for all that you do and just love our parks. So thank you.
Thank you. So Keith Wiley, Director, Parks, Recreation, Natural Resources. Theme, build together, play together. So I think very appropriate. I'm not going to ask for any money today, right? Because that's not the purpose of this. But we are building together, right? So the board has been very, very supportive. County administration, Mr. Karbala, Kathy, I don't know where Kathy is.
Sitting right
Kathy
here.
Pearson. We're building everything and addressing all the issues that we've come across, and the board's been very supportive, from increasing impact fee to allowing us at first go the general obligation bond to even see if the citizens would support funding parks, which of course they did. So yeah, I think, and then a couple board meetings ago, Mike, the loan, right? The boards approved the loan to pursue 2 district parks on the east side of the county. So we are building together, but with the capital investment comes the maintaining the facilities. And typically on these events, we bring, the field operations team in, but honestly, this is the management team for my department, and without them, we wouldn't be able to provide answers to all the questions or the reservations or the ideas to add additional infrastructure at various parks. Maybe Sun West possibly is the one I'm thinking of. But yeah, without them, I would not be able to do my job. So very, very grateful for their support and their constant dedication. It's just amazing. And then play together. I think you all articulated it best. We're involved in the community. We're creating memories. We're creating, holidays. Sometimes we're involved in that. So yeah, this theme I think is very, very appropriate for what we're doing in Pasco County presently at the moment. So thank you again for your support.
Before I come down, and I think there's enough, we can all go down if you guys want, but I am going to be bringing up in commissioner items, and just in case you're not here, when I was in Philadelphia with the NACO conference, there was great discussion about what all the counties were doing to celebrate the nation's 250th birthday. And we're going to be having that discussion. I'm going to set off that discussion today, and I'm sure it's going to involve you guys. So stay tuned, because we need to come up with some of our plans. So
Sounds
just
great.
want to let you know. All right. So if you want to stay up here, then I'll go down.
Stay up here.
I wouldn't either.
No, I can never pull that off. Sneakers and a shoe. I want to more sneakers.
Where's our little kids with poster contests?
Great. Okay, Res 3, water poster contest.
Resolution number 25282, and before I start, if we could go ahead and have our young folks come forward, and I'm going to apologize in advance. So if I mispronounce, I apologize, but I'll take a shot at it here. A resolution by the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, recognizing and commending Pasco County elementary students receiving first place for their respective grade levels in the 16th Annual Water Awareness Poster Contest. Whereas clean, safe, and sustainable water resources are vital to Pasco County's economy, environment, and its citizens, and whereas the steps we can take to protect and preserve our water through educational partnerships and positive actions are encouraged throughout Pasco County, and whereas the Water Awareness Poster Contest was developed jointly by Pasco County Utilities and the Florida Government Utility Authority, FGUA, with the guidance of the Pasco County School Board to champion water conservation education. And whereas students are given the opportunity, with the assistance of dedicated Pasco County school teachers, to explore STEAM, S-T-E-A-M, science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics-based teaching materials that expand their knowledge of water-related topics through artistic expression. And whereas this year, 1,111 posters were submitted, with 22,240 entries submitted from Pasco County elementary schools since the program's inception in 2010. And whereas winning posters were selected by a judging panel that included representatives of Pasco County Utilities and the FGUA and community sponsors. And whereas the posters chosen displayed exceptional artistic merit, creativity, and clarity of message, and is representative of students at various levels of learning from kindergarten to 5th grade. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, that said board hereby thanks each participating student and teacher for their dedication in promoting water awareness through Pasco County, and congratulates first place recipients Hunter Hips, Karam Al-Habar, Elizabeth Sutnoff, Izan Rabi, Deruv Padavar, and Jessica Cato for their outstanding achievement. Done and resolved in regular session with a quorum present and voting this 15th day of July, 2025.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Well, welcome. If you all want to say something real quick, I can
Yep.
start with you.
Yeah, in my 9 years being here as a county commissioner, I've actually been a judge several times, and this artwork that you see is very hard to judge when all of them are so great. I mean, they do a great job, and such a teaching
They're so cute.
method of telling people where the water comes from, where it goes to, and all the things that deal with water. On the past year of Swift Mud and the past year of Tampa Bay Water, I really care about this program and what they do, and the artwork they bring forward is very good and very educational for everyone. So, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. It's just a fantastic and a fun item that comes forward every year since being on the board, and just can't commend the school district and the parents and the teachers and everybody involved in engaging our youth and teaching them the cycle of water and what's healthy and what's not. And it's just great to see the imagination and the learning and the skill come together on paper. And just glad we have another year of successful participation, and happy that you all are here today.
Commissioner.
Well, I love your poster. Can you tell me a little bit about it? Sure. Okay.
So I'm very happy to be here. This is my first time being here, so this is a really big thing for me. So what I tried to show is that if you use chemicals, pesticides, and you throw plastics into the water, how polluted it could be. And then, as you can see, the houses are all broken down, the ecosystem isn't very good. And then if you use natural fertilizers to recycle, reduce, reuse, and you follow the local rules, you can get clean water and a good water cycle. So I learned about the ecosystem in 3rd grade and the water cycle, and I really care for the environment.
That's
Great job.
amazing.
Okay.
Great job.
Future scientist here.
Well, I think we all learned a little bit from your poster today. Thank you for sharing. Great job and congratulations.
Commissioner Mariano.
I want to say, that was fantastic.
Yeah.
Congratulations, great job. We do, the entire board appreciates this program, with what you guys do with it, bringing everybody together. Matt coming out to it, it's phenomenal. So congratulations again, great stuff.
Thanks.
And I want to say thank you for letting me have the opportunity to judge this. I will say to the parents out there, because we had to remove some of the posters from the selection process, Because it was kind of clear mom did it, or maybe dad, and not the youngsters. So parents, stay out of it, let the kids do it. And just really impressed with what they came up with. And boy, am I impressed with you. So are you looking for a field in science as you grow? Yep. So we have opportunities for you to do things at the county, and with you saw our environmental lands program here. So just keep that in mind, parents, as he gets older. If he wants to come do some shadowing or volunteering at the county, we can help him pad his resume.
Madam Chair?
Yeah.
What's the youngest intern we ever had?
Yeah, I don't know, but I think he's up to it, right? So congratulations on your poster. How are we gonna, well, you could speak, and how are we gonna show these to the public? Yeah.
For the record, I'm Sandra Anderson. I'm the Director for Pasco County Utilities Customer Information and Services Department. And as you can see, as the resolutions that came earlier today, it's community-wide. It's not one county department doing anything. We're really branching out. So we have the good fortune of this being the 16-year partner and expanding this with the FGUA and the school board. And also coming up later this fall, we're working with county libraries. We're going to move this into the libraries and make a tie-in there too. So we're really excited about the things to come. And Phoenix is our water conservation coordinator for the county, and it's one of the many programs we do that working together. So it's with these efforts that we have going forward. So we encourage you to be looking forward to expanding in the future and being part of it in the future as well. Phoenix?
Thank you. Phoenix McKinney. I'm Pasco County Utilities Water Conservation Coordinator. First, I would just like to thank you. I'm a little intimidated about following Isan. He was such an outstanding speaker. However, again, thank you so much. As always, we appreciate your support. I am really excited about the collaboration that we're going to be doing with the library. Right now, the posters, not in this format, but in a different format, are currently on display in the West and East government centers, and they will be there for a month. However, starting in November through May, they will be rotating in 4 of the different library galleries. There'll be 2 months in each of the gallery, and they'll be in frames similar to this. So you'll have an ongoing opportunity to see those over an extended period of time if you miss them now. And encourage people. It's really fortunate for us of the timing that they're going to go in November, because we're currently working on curriculum and new materials that will be used in contests that would kick off in December. So we're going to hope to use that display time to also encourage more people to get involved. It is an outstanding program, and the students do outstanding art. So
Excellent.
Thank you very much.
And does someone else want to speak?
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
Hello and good morning, board. Thank you so much for letting me speak. My name is Vin Jones, and I am here on behalf of the FGUA as a community services representative, specifically based in Pasco County and Newport Richey. And what I just wanted to share on behalf of the FGUA is just our gratitude and just our appreciation for just the partnership we've been able to have with Pasco County Utilities, and just honestly just your support as well. It's so encouraging just to hear just the impacts that the students been able to have on their schools, their communities, and their families, and even just their own education, just learning more about the water and how to preserve it, how to keep it clean. And so I just want to just extend just a thank you, really, just for all your support. And we look forward to the continued partnership that we have with you and with Pasco County Utilities and the school district as well. So thank you so much.
Excellent. I wanted to make sure that the family knows that this is on TV, so you can go to YouTube and you can capture your segment. You know, I was on TV once, and I didn't capture mine. I was on the Colbert Report, and it's gone when I was on the school district. So go get it now, because, well, I guess this is government, so it may be there forever. But apparently the Colbert Report is not. Do the parents want to say anything?
Sure.
Okay, great.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Raja Rabi. I'm the proud dad. I'm here with my beautiful wife, Nasi Chairman. We are here to show our gratefulness that the school district that we have in here is great. We are very happy with what he's learning. The growth has been tremendous. He is not only doing great in the school, but also he's other performance is also doing great. So as a human being, we are raising him, and the county is helping us a lot to be a great human being, and so that he can give back to the community and serve it. So you want to say, all of you, thank you very much for your support and help, and we're very happy to be here today.
Well, I'm very appreciative that you took time off of your work and out of your day to come here and be in Dade City with us today, because obviously you live in the Trinity area. So I know it's a drive, but we're very grateful that you're here.
Thank you so much.
All right, let's take a photo. You're in the front middle. I want you to hold this. Oh, I should have one of those.
Go ahead. With that one. Oh. Thank you.
Commissioner Oakley, I'm gonna have to keep a stash of those in your office. The challenge coins. I know, I gotta carry them. Okay, we are on to the consent agenda, and I have some items to be pulled. I have C13 by David Engel, C14 by Waitman and Oakley, C29 Waitman, C34 Mariano, C62 Oakley, and C64 Mariano. All right. So is there anything else any board members would like to pull off the consent agenda?
Okay, I move for accepting all the other items left on the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. We will move on to C13.
Good morning,
Thank
Madam.
you.
Good morning, Madam Chair and Commissioners. David Engel, Planning and Economic Development Director. I'm here to present C13, which is a resolution of the Pasco County Board of County Commissioners setting the rates for contribution to the tree mitigation fund and the use of funds and delegating authority to distribute funds thereafter. This is one of a two-phase process. This is focusing on increasing the rate structure for our tree mitigation fund. It hasn't been done for several decades, and also broaden the use of the funds. The board had authorized the use of some funds about 3 years ago for our commercial landscape program, and we've delivered $1.8 million of landscape grants out on the street, focused primarily in the West Market area to beautify our county, and we'd like to broaden the use of those funds. The second part of our effort will be a tree preservation ordinance, and we are planning to bring that to the board. We had a workshop with the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission is going to review and then recommend to the board, and hope to see you in September with the new tree preservation fund and program. So at this time, I'd like to invite Amanda Hill. Amanda is our principal planner in charge of special projects, and she will review the initiative with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Amanda Hill, Planning, Development, and Economic Growth. So first, I'd like to walk you through the history of the fund. It was first created with Ordinance 01-017. Subsequently, there were resolutions in 2005 and 2008 to adjust some of the administration of the fund, as well as to set some of the contribution rates. And in March of this year, the item, along with the tree preservation ordinance, was previously brought to the local planning agency, at which point the local planning agency members recommended that staff bring this as a separate item to the board for consideration, hence the reason why we're here today. And as David previously mentioned, we are going to be planning to bring the Section 802 updates to the board in September. The current contribution rate is at $50 per inch. For affordable housing projects, it's actually $10 per inch. If it's a project that's not related to a residential project, it's also $50 per inch. And then for projects that aren't related to any sort of building footprint, then it's a $50 per inch rate without a cap. For residential projects, there's a cap of $500 per residential unit. For affordable housing projects, that cap is $50 per residential unit. And then for non-residential projects, the cap is $500 for each 2,000 square feet of first floor building area. The proposed rate of contribution is $75 per inch for all project types. So there would be no distinction between a residential project, an affordable housing project, etc. For trees that are classified as heritage trees, we are proposing an increase to $150 per inch. This wasn't a previous designation in the current contribution rate. And a heritage tree for the purposes of this resolution would be considered a live oak that's 34 inches or greater, or a southern magnolia 24 inches or greater. And those trees would have to have a condition rating of good or better as determined by the ISA rating system. Here I included a comparison chart. These were just some of the projects that were in-house at the time when this project was being put together by staff. And you can see the comparison in the fees that would be due to the tree mitigation fund based off of the $50 per inch rate versus the $75 per inch rate. All these projects, they elected to pay per inch versus paying that cap of $500 per residential unit. This slide just looks at what the cost for a tree would be. Of course, it would vary based off of the diameter of the tree, but I just made some example trees here. So you have, for example, a 10-inch tree, a 26-inch tree, and a 40-inch tree, and I compared it in terms of whether it's a non-heritage tree, if it's a southern magnolia, or if it's a live oak. So you can see for 10 inches, the fee would be the same across the board. It would be $750. If it's a 26-inch tree, you can see for the southern magnolia, it's significantly more than the others because at that point, it would be considered a heritage tree. And then for 40 inches, both the live oak and southern magnolias would be considered as heritage trees. So then that's the increased rate there versus the non-heritage tree. For proposed authorized locations and recipients, the resolution proposes that trees be utilized on land owned or under the control of the county, where the county desires to assist homeowners in affordable housing projects that service 80% AMI or below, for the Economic Growth Landscaping Program, for the school board, and to accomplish a public purpose that will result in an increase of the tree canopy of Pasco County. Whether or not a project serves that public purpose would be determined by the board. Proposed expenditures include reimbursement for drought-tolerant trees and plants. This is not to be construed as to include mulch, hardscape, irrigation, design, labor, or other non-vegetative materials. It also proposes authorized expenditures to include the costs associated with the county tree management plan, including tree inventories and canopy studies, and costs associated with the purchase of conservation easements or deed restrictions on private property. This would be in upland areas, and with the goal of conserving and protecting in perpetuity heritage trees or tree stands. The resolution proposes to provide authorization to the county administrator or designee to release funds from the fund up to $200,000 per request, and amounts in excess of this amount would need to be brought to the board for consideration and a vote. And the adoption of this resolution would repeal in its entirety the resolutions that were previously adopted in 2005 and 2008. The recommended action by staff is to adopt a resolution setting the rate for contributions to the Tree Mitigation Fund, the use of such funds, and delegating authority to distribute such funds and repealer. And I'm available for any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Wade.
Thank you, Chair. So, for clarity, you said the affordable housing projects, they're not having a discounted rate. They're going to be paying the same as all the other projects?
It would be a flat rate for all project
For
types.
everybody universally? Okay, good, thank you.
Yes.
And the next piece I'd like for consideration to fix is the level of authority for releasing the up to $200,000 worth of payments. It can be, I mean, theoretically, based on the language, the county administrator could do 5 $200,000 grants without coming to the board. So I think that language needs tweaked. I talked with Mike about it. And I don't know necessarily what the threshold should be, but to have basically unlimited, as the fund grows, $200,000 delegation authority over that kind of money, I think we need to tighten the reins on that language a little bit.
Ms. Ramos goes on.
Possibly, we could restrict the $200,000 per project, so we don't have that scope creep on the amount of money.
So how would it read? Because as it reads right now, the administrator going forward.
Well, it could read, the administrator has the authority to allow up to $200,000 per project.
Yeah, but there could be 10 projects at $200,000 apiece, and this board would never see it. That's a lot of money to just grant out. Mike, you have any thoughts?
Well,
on
I
that?
was originally going to suggest that the purchasing ordinance grants the administrator the authority up to $100,000, and that we could tie this particular spending authority and caps with that. But the cap isn't necessarily the problem. The issue that you're bringing up is multiple projects and spending. If the board were to come up with programs and budget dollars out of the tree mitigation fund into specific programs, it could maintain budget authority over that and thus limit it, or we could bring individual projects back. I mean, I think you want to cap an upper limit. So if we were to establish a program, say for, I don't know, let's just say parks, we'll call it Parks Program Trees, and say you put $1 million in there. If it's a $100,000 project, it's within the ordinance limits of my spending authority, I could approve that until we run out of money that the board has appropriated, right? And you would appropriate that $1 million during the budget process against that program. That's one alternative that I think would satiate at least your concerns on overspend. Currently, right now, I mean, I can spend up to $100,000 on various programs across county government, just depending on what they are. They're just varied. When they exceed a threshold, we bring those forward back to the board for authorization. So you would cap the program within the fund. So we just come up with programs, parks, maybe there's right-of-way use, maybe, David, the program that you're talking about with the landscaping program, call those 3 programs and the board appropriates whatever it does, that becomes your ceiling.
Yeah, I just figured I'd bring this up to the board to see what they thought, because otherwise, future boards would never.
I think your budget authority is what you leverage to cap it, but I mean, we can bring every project to you. That's not a problem either. I don't have a problem with that.
Commissioner Mariano.
Thank you. I think if it's a county project, whether it's parks, libraries, or something, even one of our own buildings, give them full authority to do it, because if we can use this money compared to using our regular taxpayer money, it leaves more money for the general fund flexibility. The reason I pulled item 34 coming up is because we've got a Little Road landscape irrigation project, and my question to the staff was how much of this money can we use for the tree mitigation fund? Rather than using our road and bridge money, which we can spend more money on roads, let's go use the tree mitigation funds for that. And we'll talk about that. But I want to see that flexibility that he can do it any internal county project. If you want to talk about private projects, which I want to discuss that item too, because right now, as you said, it's only right now under control of the Board of County Commissioners, the county. I want to see that expanded. part of the reason I pushed this thing for probably 2 years ago was we had a project in front of Leisure Beach. County gives us the right of way, we can go, they can go maintain it. And it took about 8 months to just spend like probably $10,000 worth of plants to get it through the process. Ridiculous. If I get anybody on any major roadway, no matter what the HOA is, I want to have them flexibility to go forward. If I've got people like on US 19 where they can't, you know, they're not making a lot of money. Anybody wants to go to the Gulfview Mall, go take a look and see what's in that building, what used to be there to what's there now. The demographics haven't supported it, and it's hard for them to make money up and down that corridor. I want people with a business on Long 19, and Rich Jenkins can talk about it because he's trying to work with them.
Stay on this one, and then we'll talk about 34.
All right, so we'll get to that. All right, so that'll be the other part. So as far as that goes, flexibility, if we own the property, if it's our county project, whatever you can use it for, I say give them full flexibility to go use it.
Yeah, I think that, you know, every Monday, I call and say, where are the trees? Because we're not putting them in the ground, and that's what this was collected for. So I don't want to hold anything up. You know, this is going on public land, in our parks, on our rights of ways, county property, county buildings where the trees have been missing for decades. So I'm fine with the 200,000. I really am. It was 100,000, so I'm okay.
I'm fine with that too. I got all the faith in the world in the administration and Mike and the work that he does and his team that he's got together, that they'll do the right thing with the money. If it gets to a point he has a concern about it, he should bring it to us. He will bring it to us. So that, I'm good with what.
And on that note, I drove on Ridge Road again today, and it's one of the subjects I want to talk to you about this morning. We have an overlook for people who are riding the trail, and I've been asking for a year, at least a year since it opened, for a shade tree there, and there is still a crepe myrtle. So sometimes people need to cool down and get out of the sun when they're riding or running, and we have got to get a shade tree on that overlook on Ridge Road. Okay, so
if I could just interject, I want to make sure that we're tracking correctly. The board is okay necessarily with $200,000 at the upper limit, but I think the question that Commissioner Waitman brought up is just how many $200,000 chunks do you, I mean, if the balance of I could spend the whole fund balance, I think is really, you know, part of his concern, or whether that's me or a future administrator or whatever, does the board want us to allocate and budget as our budgeting process versus pulling out of reserves on it? I mean, I guess we would have to budget a piece of it anyways, as long as we stick within the allocated budget. Would that satiate your concerns?
do you mean like, say 30% will go to parks, 30% will go, 20 to median?
I'm actually saying if the tree mitigation fund balance is $1 million and the board appropriates $500,000 of that to be used in fiscal year 26, you've put a backstop into place in terms of being able to spend it out. Would that be?
I just brought it up as just general conversation, see how the board, what other members thought about it. Just, you know, we have $1 million or $2 million in there, and you or another administrator comes in and just starts spending $200,000 down and blows the fund in a year, this board wouldn't know about it. Because the administrator would have unilateral authority to do that. So I just know that trees and landscaping is important to this board. And so I'm just thinking of the future as boards change and administration changes, that there's some quality control metrics in there. So that was my whole reason to have this conversation.
This is not landscaping, right? This is trees.
Yes, trees. We could provide a quarterly report to the board, just to give you an update as to what's being spent and what the project status is.
I think it was just a
memo. Put in the noted items and call it out to us, and I'll be fine.
Right, Madam Chair.
Yeah.
Just for the board's knowledge, right now the balance is about $9.4 million in that fund.
Yeah, but it's about to get dispersed.
Madam Chair?
Yeah.
So part of this thing, again, if it's a county-owned piece of property, and we can go put trees out quicker as opposed to later, again, 9.4 million, that number's outstanding, right? The purpose of it is to put trees back in the ground that were taken down. So the faster he can put them into the ground is what this thing was all about anyway. And if it's county-owned property, if I'm saying taxpayer money, I think I should be saving taxpayer money. I don't care what the project is, and let them go do it.
Yeah,
As
that's what
far
we
as
said,
like
go do
other
it.
things, and we'll
Yeah.
get to it, we'll talk about other things, but let them go. Save the taxpayer the money. We want to cut the budget down, right? Low as we
I'm
can?
not saying not to. You're missing the whole point of what
Yeah,
I'm saying.
you
I'm
are.
not saying not to.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing it out there for conversation. I'm not saying yes or no. I'm gonna support it. I'm just saying it's a point of discussion. I think we've gone way far into the weeds around the trees on this. It was just a level of authority for spending that I thought was worthy to point out and have a conversation about. And with that, I think I see where the tea leaves are.
Okay, I'll take a motion.
Move approval.
Madam Chairman.
Yes.
If I may, I hate to do this at the last minute, but I was not able to talk to Ms. Blair, who reviewed this for our office, because she's out of the office this week. I have a concern that the ordinance has, and it's not to the point that you've just been debating, the ordinance has caps for what the per inch total is. You are changing those caps by resolution. I believe that the changes to the dollar amounts cannot occur without the amendment to the LDC going forward.
So we need a public hearing.
So I think you can adopt the resolution, but that section 1 on contribution rates would have to be not effective until you amended your ordinance.
Now, this has already gone through the planning commission.
No, it hasn't. It's a resolution.
No, they did,
That was the tree preservation component. That's phase 2 for September business. This is for tree mitigation, use of funds.
The problem is this changes the rates that are within your ordinance by resolution. That's my concern. And there may have been, Elizabeth may have had a reason why she thought that was acceptable. I just haven't been able to talk to her about it. So what I would suggest is if you want to adopt this today,
yes.
you make the changes that are found within section 1 of going up to $75 per inch or $150 an inch, contingent upon the adoption of changes to section 800.
If that is necessary.
If that's necessary.
Okay, I had, yeah, when we get to the motion, please add that, but I had a question, I said I was gonna bring this up, it's kind of a David Goldstein question, I think. And I know we're not dealing with it here, but, there are some things we have had to tweak over the years because, we've had instances where, people have cleared their land of these trees before development. And the last one that came to mind was Southwind. And he took out all those oak trees as an ag property.
And he has a right to.
And he has a right to, but we have rules that you can't clear cut before you develop. And I wanted you to go over what those are and just.
So, I mean, if you're operating under the ag exemption and it's bona fide ag, then you can clear the trees. We changed our code, I think, a few years ago, though, to say that if you do it immediately before you seek a development approval, you had to have been doing this ag activity for at least 5 years, I believe. Otherwise, you can't clear the trees right before you seek a development approval. What was happening before was the developers were clearing, they were using the ag exemption simply to avoid our tree mitigation ordinance.
Yes, and we don't want that.
So I believe that change we made to the code a couple of years ago is already intended to remedy that issue.
Yes.
So I think it's been fixed, but if you don't believe it has, we can revisit it, but I believe it's been fixed.
Well, I just, I'm not sure if this is where we fix it or if we fix it in the September.
Well, no, you definitely would not fix, that's
Yeah.
even a bigger issue.
I know we can't fix it today.
Yeah, but first of all, I'm not even sure it is still an issue, because I haven't heard from staff that it's still being abused. So let's start with that. I would need Patrick Dutter or somebody to confirm it's still being abused. But if it is, that's a change in the land development code. That's not something we can fix in this resolution.
Right, and I, you know, no offense to the gentleman who had that property, but it was mostly void of trees. but the reason he gave to take down his beautiful oak trees that would have been along our bike trail was he needed them for his cattle, which was not, I don't think that would stand up in court if we would take that, have taken that issue. So I think we need to be able, I think, you know, there's a line in the sand when you cut down some of these trees. Keith, did you want to say something? No?
Madam Chair?
Yeah.
So before we get to making a motion, I want to cover the points I was going to talk about. Again, items.
Well, did you have anything more for David about clear
No.
cut?
No, I'm good with that.
Okay.
But back to before we get a motion. So if you're going to put the amount at $200,000, I want to know, if we know, Mike, hopefully you know the answer. C-34, how much money are we going to spend on trees?
Probably about 690,000.
Okay, so $690,000, you're now going to say he can only spend 200 of that 690,000 on a project that's viable, that's going to be taxpayer money, that could go into roads instead, which I think we all
And we
like
approved
more roads done.
it, we approved it in our consent agenda, that item.
I pulled it.
Oh, yeah, you pulled it, I'm sorry.
So,
But we can talk about it when that comes.
No, we need to talk about it now. This is the time to talk about it, because you're going to limit him to $200,000 when this got 690.
No, when that one comes up, we will
No,
give
if you
him a
vote on
vote.
it, it'll be
Well,
handled.
We can
the
give him
point
a-
is, that I think the commissioner is making, is that he thinks the administrator should have more authority because another item like C-34 might come up and he wouldn't be restricted.
Listen, we meet twice a month. If we have one that comes up that's bigger than 200, he can just ask us, we can give him the blessing, right?
All right, let's go back to the previous slide.
Can I just make one point, Madam Chair, and Mr.
Previous one.
Steinschneider? I believe I know why Elizabeth allowed us to proceed by resolution. The Land Development Code stipulates that the board shall set tree mitigation fees by resolution. So potentially, that's the reason.
Then I have a problem.
Nope.
Because it says, what the language says is, as set forth below, and it has the caps.
Okay, sir. We'll take care of it.
There's already a motion made, but he needs to redo his motion. Seth's already got a motion on the floor, and I'll second it.
All right, can I keep the floor for a minute?
Yep.
I want to go back to the language under control. No, we're talking about where you can use it, like under property owned by the county.
Keep going the wrong direction, I'm sorry. It keeps going in a loop. Can you help me, Gina? Yeah.
All right, so anyway, part of the reason I brought this up from a couple of years back was you get an HOA on US 19. They want to go fix the trees that they've actually got a right of use agreement, or we're trying to work that out, where they can maintain the trees. It's right on a busy road, looks great when they do it. All they want to do is get reimbursed when we're going to inspect. I've got an HOA, not an HOA, but another group that's, another association.
Why are we talking about that one here and not in 34?
Because 34 is different. This is where we're going to set an ordinance up, but changing our rules. So we're going to change the rules. Part of the reason I wanted this thing brought back to us was to go look at what the rules are. Now, you could have affordable housing project done by somebody else, could be, you know, David Lambert's group that we have. It could be another association with another HOA that's not a true HOA that wants to go beautify along the property. You've got properties up and down 19 that, if they're bound by all sorts of different rules, they can't afford to go put trees out, which could make it look better. You know, Rich Jenkins is going to tell you about how people don't want to go spend the money because all the other things that fall in line with going to change the trees. I want to make it easy for anybody along, let's say the 19 corridor, you can pick other streets too, to make it look better. If I get an association, one that makes their entryway look better, and I got $9.4 million, let's get the money out there,
So,
get the trees back.
Are you saying they would apply for a landscape grant? Because I'm not sure why, I'm not sure that we should be landscaping private property.
The main thing I'm trying to do is allow the place, our county to look better. And if you've got $9.4 million from private property people that you took money from, whether it be private or not, if it's gonna make the county look better along a roadway especially, why aren't we doing that and get those trees in the ground, which is
So
supposed to
then
promote
any
air?
HOA that's under development could come in and say, we don't want to do our plantings along the front of our development, let the county pay for it?
No, I'm saying, let's say.
Well,
like,
that's what's going to happen.
Well, so said it be something that's existing already, that's been done, that wants to redo it because maybe it wore out, maybe some car hit it or something, and they just want to make it look better.
I'm okay if they want to apply for a grant, maybe, which is matching, but I'm not okay to open the floodgates to take off responsibility of the community to care about how they look and pay for it, and not have the taxpayers of another community pay for theirs because they let theirs go under.
And again,
So-
not taxpayer money, it's tree mitigation.
But it's not
fund
money that we can use for
It's
other
gotta be on
places.
trees.
Yes,
Look at-
we're going to go through that money
Isn't the
like
goal,
that.
isn't the goal of the program to put trees back in the ground? It's another alternative to go do it.
How about if there's, no, well, I'm okay if they want to apply for a grant, and there's rules with the grant that requires some participation by that HOA,
They're gonna
but I'm
keep-
not okay, I think we have consensus that we're not in agreement with.
Let me just make one more point. So you got trees that you're gonna do. Doesn't count for the irrigation, doesn't count for the watering that may have to be their responsibility. It doesn't count for the mulch or other flower stuff that go around it, just the trees. So for that, if they get that help, you're gonna see it look better. You keep talking how you want this county to look
I
better.
do, and Gulf Harbors is an example. We have, it's actually a county road. We have an agreement with the county to, that we can have trees in the median. We don't have any water for it. We have, that's another battle that maybe we can talk one day, is they're not allowing us to put irrigation in it. So we're hand watering, but I'm saying I'm okay with it in a grant process where the community pays for part of it.
And the grant process is in place already. They were in process to go through and do this, and they went through the process to do it, and they went through it. It took like 8 months, and we said we gotta tweak some rules to make it better, to make it easier. I'm just trying to make it easier.
I would like to call a question. So we got a motion and a second on the
Okay.
floor.
All right, so does the motion
Do we want to
include,
change this motion based on what?
you want to
was
adapt your
transpired?
motion to include the county attorney's language?
Yes, my motion will include the county attorney's language slash concerns, or what would you say it would be?
That the section raising the
contingency.
fees in section 1 would not take effect unless subsequent county attorney approval or with the statute, or the ordinance would be
Well,
amended.
with that motion, I hope that it would be done, the county attorney's office would move in an expeditious manner. That way we could move these fees
No.
forward to grow the fund.
No question, but
Okay.
I'm almost positive that this is going to require an ordinance amendment.
And can we just add that David would update us on whether it's, what do you want to do, quarterly on the?
Quarterly progress reports.
Yes, I mean, I would like to make sure we're getting this back out, the trees back out. As I mentioned to the administrator this morning, for a developer or, someone who paid in 20 years ago, that's not covering a tree that we have to buy today. I mean, right? So we have eaten into our ability to put these trees and build our tree canopy back up. And I want to be sure this doesn't go to crepe myrtles and to what are the bushes, or, this needs to be there to replace tree canopy, oaks, pines, magnolias, maples, not, well, some places are appropriate
Pine's
for
not a
pine.
good tree for that.
Well, the DOT just put them right down the middle of 52,
I
so.
understand. That's a-
But it needs to go to canopy trees, not bushes, understories.
So Commissioner, our draft does not have that restriction. It does allow drought tolerant shrubbery. So we can amend the resolution through the board action to only allow use of funds for canopy trees, including oaks, magnolia, et cetera.
Well, that's what we're taking down. That's what we should be putting back in. If you drive on 54, I noticed this, someone else commented to me, There's no canopy along, very little canopy anymore. We're allowing people to take down oak trees and put up crepe myrtles in their parking lots. It's a travesty.
So as I understand it today,
I would make that a motion.
the motion will read to restrict use of funds to canopy trees, that the new fees cannot take effect until an ordinance is amended or adopted allowing those fees. And thirdly, we will make quarterly progress reports as a notice item on the use of funds.
Guys?
Well, then that means the motion be needed amended again.
Let me
because I
ask you a
didn't
question.
include tree types.
So you don't want palm trees in this thing? Really?
I'm
In
thinking
Florida?
I'm thinking about palm trees, but the thing is, we're not charging for anyone taking down a palm tree, right?
But it does help beautify.
Yeah.
It is helping.
It does.
Sable palm is a state tree.
Yeah. All right. We'll add palm trees.
Specific to sable palms or just in general?
I think we just leave in general. Of course, there's no queens, of course.
So
cheapy, rat-infested queen palms.
it's all palm trees except for queen palms?
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't like the flowy?
I just don't like they're the #1 tree
They
for
won't live
rats.
through the next freeze, so
Okay, so you amend your motion to accept
he
that?
made the motion.
So County Attorney, you want to help clarify this word jumble here of a motion?
I think what David stated is what the motion now would read, with the exception of if the county attorney believes that an ordinance amendment is not necessary, it would go into effect immediately. But I think the three bullets that David added on to the motion is where the board currently is.
I'll second that.
That's my motion.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Please go
One-
shopping.
One nay.
Oh, one nay, okay. Please go shopping, and I know Keith needs a lot of trees now. I see they're missing already in Starkey. I know he has trees that were knocked down from the hurricane. The courthouse needs trees on the west side, so I'm very glad we got that done. Okay, what are we on to now? We are on to
C14.
C14.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning again. David Engel, Planning and Economic Development Director. Now for the easier agenda item. This is a proposal for a cooperative economic development agreement for Evans property. The property is located, it's 80 acres approximate in size. It's located on Lake Iola Road, adjacent to the Blanton Road intersection near the I-75 interchange. Before I get into the actual specifics, I just wanted to give the board a bit of history. In December of 2006, Pasco County entered into a stipulated settlement agreement designating this property as employment center, requiring corporate business park or targeted primary industry or industrial uses, multifamily uses, support commercial office uses, including service stations, hotels, neighborhood scale markets, and restaurants. Subsequent to that, in 2022, the applicant submitted an application for zoning for an MPUD, and at that time they requested 1.5 million square feet for distribution warehousing and 300 apartment units. At the early part of this year, the matter was brought in front of the Planning Commission and the application was amended, and then I'll pick it up from here. The applicant is revising its original request to include 1.5 million square feet of IL office, 100,000 square feet of retail uses supporting the business park, and one of the commissioners had requested during the course of action that the residential be platted uses, not rental type of uses, but for home ownership. The property is located, again, here on Lake Iola Road. We have a plan without any residential that we're proffering today. The frontage on Lake Iola, that pink area, will be for small-scale flex and light industrial uses. We've identified that there are a lot of business people that live in the northeast part of the county that need access to a business park. In fact, one of the residents who lives just north of this property was objected to the apartments, but we worked with them on the plan, and they said as soon as the building's available, they're going to move their business in here. So we've been getting a lot of uptake. The yellow Phase 2 part of the property is for some distribution uses. The property slopes down from the frontage on Lake Iola to the back. You can't see the back piece. And we're capping the amount of distribution to 500,000 square feet, so you will be achieving 1 million square feet of high employment generating light industrial. There are probable costs associated with improving this property to get to a site-ready position. That's roadway improvements, that's drainage, that's doing on-site utilities. The probable cost for all in is $18.2 million, and we are proposing a $15 million economic incentive package. $12 million comes from ad valorem rebates, which is, if you recall, they pay their property taxes, and then a portion of those property taxes in the following year are delivered back in the form of a rebate. And we are also proposing $3 million of penny for Pasco, because we need to get these improvements in, and there won't be any tax generation until they start construction. But it'll all be on the basis of reimbursement. They have to do the work, they have to show us the receipts, and then they get reimbursed for whatever the incentive requirements are. And we prioritize the infrastructure to make sure that this is developed in an orderly fashion. First, we'll be doing the Lake Iola road improvements, then bringing utility improvements within the property, then doing the internal roadways, then mass grading for the Phase 1 non-residential. That's the 1 million square feet of light industrial. So it'll be pad ready, ready to go. It's a ready site program. And lastly, the following areas, if there's still sufficient funds, is the rural scenic corridor preservation and property buffering, which is required anyway by the development and MPUD, which we'll have in the afternoon, sidewalks and other required MPUD improvements. We are also proposing a 20-year moratorium for residential development on the property via the 2006 stipulated settlement agreement. There is a very significant incentive payment clawback if the developer opts to do residential in 20 years from now. We believe that those clawbacks are significant enough to not allow for a residential project to pencil out. And the way we've configured the improvements and designed the project, it's highly unlikely you'll ever see residential on this property. All economic incentives, again, are reimbursable grant items. There are features associated with this cooperative economic development agreement. We have enhanced architectural standard requirements. We don't want to see cement ugly tilt-ups from the Lake Iola Scenic Corridor, so they'll be using brick facades and other treatments to make it look consistent with the rural history and heritage of the area. All scenic roadways have to be protected according to our scenic roadway plan ordinance, and the surrounding properties have extensive bufferings, in particular the northern side. We have a type B 50-foot buffer, and we are preserving existing hardwood trees in that buffer area. The developer has agreed to cap commercial support at 100,000 square feet and cap the distribution of 500,000 square feet, so we have a pure 1 million square foot light industrial deliverable. The project, as far as the financial characteristics and component, over the 30-year period of this agreement, the general fund will net $40 million in tax revenue. Right now, the property is fallow and ag, so we have no really tax revenue on the property. Once full build-out has occurred, we'll have an annual gross county product contribution of $78 million a year. Approximately 700 new full-time jobs will be generated at the site. The economic incentive is equivalent to a $10 square foot buy down, which is consistent with what we've done with I-75 Gateway and Double Branch. And it is finally establishing an important employment generating area in the northeast part of the county. And this Evans project, if the board will approve it today, will be Phase 1. Phase 2, and we've already been having discussions with the public through Pasco 2050, is to create a specific employment center sub-area policy that'll be unique to Northeast Rural and protect the character of the surrounding area. And we're working on that. And I've even asked Ms. Hazelwood to participate in helping us out create guidelines for this new employment area. So on that, I recommend approval of this item based on the conditions that I just stipulated in my presentation. Thank you.
Commissioner Oakley.
I'm in full agreement of this project. As a matter of fact, this project has gone from what was presented early on to this program much better than what they were asking for before. This project is good for Pasco County and the citizens of Pasco. Can you imagine being in a business park, having things that deal with new homes and homes in the area, and you're right on the border of Hernando County where a lot of growth is happening, and also with Pasco County? I mean, it's a win-win for those people who put their business in here. They have a, you know, the audience they're going to have coming for their business is going to be great. One change I would like to make in what David repeated, if you go back one slide, I think it's on slide before where it talks about the 20-year moratorium, I'd like to change that to 30 years, and it'll be better. I never believed that the Evans family is going to wait 20 or 30 years to do a residential area on here on this property, because there's going to be somebody out there right now that's looking to take care of this property and make it what we're wishing it to be. So I'd like to make that motion to change that one item.
Well, I'm trying to understand the reluctance to have people live near where they work. So wouldn't it depend on what that residential looks like? So you're saying you don't want any homes there for 30 years?
No.
So what if it's someone who wants to build a 20-acre horse farm?
Well, they're not going to do it there.
Why?
Because you're going to have a business park there.
It's an employment center.
It's an employment center.
But if I looked at the map, maybe the applicant's attorney wants to speak, but there's no places in here that could be.
No, we're not going to put any residential. If Joel 2 comes up, I think he can give you security that the Evans family is good with this.
Madam Chair, I think there's one relevant thing to bring up that I should have done before.
Oops,
in 2024, the board adopted a revision to the employment center. Originally, it was struck that it would be 20 or 40% of it would be multifamily housing. The board eliminated that 20% threshold down to 0 because they wanted to maximize employment on these properties. Now, the surrounding area obviously has residential, massive residential in Hernando County, which is just a spit away from this.
But across the street from this, you got rural homes across the street from this product.
I can't, where's the map of the, can you bring up the other map that showed, there was a big square there. Okay, so what are we looking at here?
That's the site, yes.
Okay, so what is phase 2 is warehouse?
That will distribution and warehouse.
So where were you going to put residential even if there was allowed?
It's a change of plan.
Well, that's why we've developed a plan like this to avoid having residential on this property.
Okay. Well, you said in 20 years they could put residential, but
well, they are allowed, but it would be virtually almost impossible to do so. The lot platting is too small. We have the 50-foot setback off the scenic road on the front.
It's a good project.
Oh, I know.
So we've tried to design it to avoid having residential development here.
So what is that also their property where it says number 2?
Phase 2, yes, it is.
And what is that?
Well, that's where the distribution is, and if they were
No, not phase 2. The entrance number 2.
Oh.
Down the bottom left. What is that?
Well,
Because when I look at the map,
that's a service road that goes in through the site that creates frontage on those.
Is that also part of the Evans property, that white piece at the bottom? It's not, that L? So it's not an L, it's just this rectangle?
It's just a rectangle of 88 acres.
I have another question, and Jack, you had some questions? Go ahead,
I
and
did.
I'll come back to mine.
So I'd say this project is a lot better than when it first came to me. They talked about apartments too, and I said, no way. I'm glad to see that we're almost completely eliminating the possibility of residential. And I'm glad you're going from 20 to 30, making that suggestion. I would even suggest that if we're going to do all this money, because when I first discussed this project, wasn't talking about any incentives. So seeing it take this extra step forward, David, I think it's good. that you're doing it to ensure that it weakens any chance for it, but I would really like to just see even the residential part wiped out. And I don't know if they'd be
Why
willing
are
to
we
do that.
leaving residential on there?
Well, and again, I'll listen to Joel when he comes up,
Yeah.
but I want to just see if they, because it's going to be so hard, especially, you're not going to be able to do it in phase two. Phase one, if you get all that stuff built out, you're not going to be able to really do it. And again, for 30 years, if he's willing to do that, maybe you just say, we'll just even take it out.
And I have another question for you too. Are those contour lines on phase two? Does that mean that's a hill?
Goes down. Joel to Palm Harbor, Florida, land use development consultant for Evans Properties, Inc., the property owner and applicant. I'll answer the second question first. Yeah, the topo drops from west to east. So the high land is at grade at Lake Iola on the west side, and then it drops dramatically to the east. That's why on this plan, the larger warehouse distribution site would be on the lower portion of the property. And in fact, it is a severe enough drop that you literally will not even see, you'll be over the top of the buildings. So they'll be substantially shielded from Blanton Road. Evans does not own the property south of us that goes down to Blanton Road. Evans does not own, but all of that land is part of your EC future land use area. So all of that ultimately will come in, presumably, if this approval occurs and Evans can kickstart this employment center, presumably those other properties will be coming in under the EC designation to seek similar approvals to map this thing out. Getting back to the first issue, since it's been a 3-year process, literally, for us to get to this point since we applied, it is important to note, as Mr. Engel pointed out, that Evans, at least in our opinion, has an absolutely vested legal right to build rental apartments based upon the 2006 court settlement reached with the county. They are willing, as part of this negotiated resolution, to essentially not build the residential for the life of these agreements. So we have agreed and do not object to Mr. Commissioner Oakley's proposed modification that would extend that for the full 30-year term of the development agreement and the MPUD. Now, when the MPD comes up this afternoon, if you approve the economic incentive agreement, we would need to modify the MPUD to match the 30-year restriction. As a practical matter, that is a permanent restriction unless this board changed its mind, because the zoning will expire in 30 years and the DA will expire. So they literally at that point would not have zoning and would have to come back 30 years from now in front of whatever board is sitting here to do anything else. The reason it's kind of a moot point as a practical matter is the $3 million penny grant from the county will not be nearly enough to do the phase one, because we have to do all of Lake Iola Road, the utilities, and the mass grading. So Evans and/or its industrial partner, they're going to be spending at least $3 million more out of the box to get phase one ready. We also have a deadline on doing that, or we don't get the $3 million. Common sense tells you that once you start the project as a business park and spend all that money, and particularly if you have to pay that money back, if you ever go to residential, that it essentially serves that purpose. But I think because we have the existing legal rights to build apartments, this is a solution that frankly made sense for both parties. We think it makes sense for Evans and the county. And I think it gives you, with a 30-year deal, the short answer is the county then controls any change. We would no longer have the right, we wouldn't have zoning to do it. So we can make the further concession, and we've made a lot of concessions the last 3 years. We can make the further concession to go from 20 to 30 years to get approval, provided that both the economic incentive agreement and the zoning ultimately are approved today with that change and that change only. We're just not in a position to renegotiate the rest of the deal. So we will accept that 30-year restraint and would appreciate your support.
Okay, so I have another, oh, go ahead, Jack.
I
My
just
question.
want to say, Commissioner, I commend you for working with them. I mean, to take this was one of the projects from 20-plus years ago. We made this an employment center area. And we knew it was going to be difficult because of the topographical issues that are out there, but we still wanted to provide that. So I appreciate Joel, the Evans family, coming back forward and working with Commissioner Oakley and probably Commissioner Waitman along the way as well, to bring this forward. It's a lot more than I expected, but I think it's a lot more beneficial. I think it ensures pretty much that we're going to get jobs created out there like we wanted to. So thank you for that.
It's a win-win for the Evans family. It's a win-win for the Pasco County, because this is going to be a good project, and it'll service a lot of citizens, not just here, but even to the north.
So my question is on the improvements to Lake Iola, which is an arterial road, that it will have the multi-use path on one of the sides?
Yes, ma'am.
Which we have
The
coming.
cross-section is stipulated within the Land Development Code for the scenic collector roads, and whatever that cross-section is will be produced on this property,
Okay.
or along this property.
Because we have cyclists who are out there, and better to get them on a multi-use path than to have them stay on the road.
And you can ask that.
As best we can.
Well, please ask that question when we have the MPUD this afternoon, and Mr. Vermillion will give you an overview of what that cross-section is.
Okay. All right, I'll entertain a motion.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
With the 30-year.
With the 30-year
With the
change?
30-year, yes.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
No, y'all worked hard on that one. C-29,
Yes.
Mr. Waitman.
Thank you. Now, I pulled this one because it said not to exceed budget amount of 20%. And I don't know if Mike Kabala or I don't know who wants to speak to this, but it's essentially a $280 million project on consent when digging into it. So I just pulled it based on the dollar amount and then the 20% contingency.
right.
So aside from that, I don't have an issue, just.
Fire away.
So I
we
think,
keep
I
moving.
think what we would like to do is, so the 20% has just been kind of a general rule of thumb that staff have used to allow for negotiating room. Typically, when we started doing this practice probably about 5 years ago, they were more for consulting type contracts, not necessarily design build. So I am perfectly fine. 20% of a $280 million project is probably a lot. It is a lot. So, you know, if we can reduce that to have some wiggle room in terms of negotiation to say 5%, I think that would be great.
That'll be my motion with the county administrator's recommendation for approval.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second discussion?
Okay, fire away quick.
I was just going to say, please make sure everything goes smoothly with this thing.
Yes, sir, 100%.
Please what?
Make sure it goes smoothly all the way
Oh.
through.
All right, I'll take, okay, so there's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, C-34, Commissioner Mariano.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just pulled it for the one reason. I wanted to give the county administrator a chance to look at the hazard mitigation fund money instead of using regular money, so we can put the money back on the road and bridge and other projects as opposed to this, and that's why I pulled it.
Yeah, so any of the money that, any of the trees should be able to come also from the tree mitigation fund?
So we have about $670,000 worth of trees on this particular project. If we spend tree mitigation money up to that amount on this project, and we can move the monies around, provided that they're the types of trees that the board is allowing us, then I can work with that if the board wants to amend the motion to include that.
So I'll make a motion to approve C-34 using the the tree mitigation fund up to $700,000.
Because you said hazard mitigation.
I did, I just changed it to tree
Okay.
mitigation fund.
I was wondering,
Corrected
ooh,
myself,
can we
yeah.
use that for that?
So I'll make the motion to approve C-34 using up to $700,000 of the tree mitigation fund money to offset the costs.
I second.
And just under discussion, Commissioner Mariano, they are deep in the planning for Ridge to 19. So it'll continue all the way up.
Sure.
Yeah, so hopefully we see that soon. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There you go. C-62, Oakley.
C-52,
Perpetual deed.
I actually pulled this. This is Oakley Grove subdivisions out on Curly Road and St. Joe Road. It's a property that was owned by my former company. I am not receiving any funds from that or anything, but I'm abstaining from voting on this item.
Can he legally?
Yep,
needs
he
to?
can.
Okay.
They changed the statute a couple of years ago.
Okay, so I'll take a motion.
Move approval C-62.
Take a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
With one abstention.
Abstain.
C-64.
Madam Chair, I just want to bring Keith Wiley up just for a moment. I'm very happy about this project. Environmental Lands is doing a good job, and he's paying a very good price for this. I think it's like $25,000 an acre, so Keith, whatever you can get in that area to help kind of supplement, I'm fully supportive too, but I think you've done a great job with this. I just want to highlight it and congratulate you.
Thank you, appreciate that.
So move approval?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, I have an 11:30 time certain.
I just ask a request here. So we have a couple of things. Our lobbyists are unable to come back this afternoon. I have had Carrie speak with the folks for R69, and if they could be heard immediately following lunch, I think we can move R69 to 1:30.
At 1:30? Okay.
And then if we could hear the R67
That'd be
through the
great.
legislative review, that would be great.
All right, let's do it.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners, Madam Chair. Today, our lobbying team is here from Tallahassee to give us a legislative update on the 2025 session. We have Sean Foster with Sunrise Consulting, Mike Moore, Southern Group, Stephen Shell with the Advocacy Partners. And after we get done with that, we'll be looking ahead at the 2026 legislative session. So I'm going to call Sean Foster up.
Good morning, good morning. How are you doing? Scallop
Good.
season, excuse me, is alive and going. We were out there this weekend. There was a ton of people, even with bad weather, and we got some good scallops. And we're going to jump in real quick and we're going to do the next page. I know you're limited on time. We're going to do a quick session overview, talk about the state budget, give you some legislative and policy outcomes and some issues that we've worked with Ralph and your staff with. We're going to talk a little bit about the property taxes and a petition referendum, obviously, coming up here. And a big thing a lot of people are looking for is what the financial outlook is going to be going into next year. As you know, this year we were still having some of the dollars left over that we had from COVID. We also had a benefit of $2.5 billion extra coming in than what was expected, but a little bit of that is going to change. So we're going to jump to this part real quick. It just kind of gives you, and I just want to go to the bottom. We passed 20% fewer bills compared to previous years. I think it's probably a good thing. If I get up here and tell you that we passed 20% more bills, it's usually, people will take you a lot more regulation and other items. But it was a huge session, and you all know what it was ruled by, and we're going to talk about that a little bit at the end. And that was how they were going to try to reduce the taxes that they take in as the legislature. Were they going to do it through giving back folks their funding and their money through property taxes, or are we going to do it through sales tax or other ways? That's really what was the driver, and obviously the whole reason we had session extended. So I'm going to jump off here and let, we're going to have 3 of us coming up in and out, so Mike Moore.
Thank you, Sean. Madam Chair, Commissioners, Mr. Steinslater, Cavallo, and the team. I'm happy to be here on behalf of the Southern Group. Just some state budget highlights you can see here. A smaller budget this year. Negotiations between the House and Senate, they yielded a $115.1 billion budget for 2025 and 6. And they wanted to continue to increase the reserves. So those reserves were included $15.7 billion in reserves. So you look at the overall state budget there, you see a big portion of that is under health care, and then following that is education, and then we can go down the line when it comes to transportation, and then general government, ag and natural resources, and public safety. We can just go to the next slide. So we're going to get into appropriations a little bit here. So our first appropriation that we succeeded at as a team is Trinity Boulevard, the multimodal corridor investment of $2.5 million. Chairman Hooper and Chairman Yeager were the sponsors for that. We're also very appreciative of not just these members, but the chairs of the committees as well. When some of you were up in Tallahassee, you were able to meet with, yes, Chair Hooper. We also were able to meet with Chair McClure as well as some of their members. So as you know, when we're going through this process, there's a lot of people involved, all the way from the sponsors to the governor's office. So when we think about, who helped with this, let's remember that this kept bumping up the line as well. But we're very grateful, obviously, for Chair Yeager and Chair Hooper. The next one on the east side of the county was the Curly Road Safe Routes to School. That was sponsored by Chair Burgess and I like to call him Leader Whip Maggard. That was the full ask of the 1.5. And I should have said that was the full ask.
Can I ask a question on that
Yes,
one?
ma'am.
Does that come out of transportation or general revenue?
That one, that was at a.
So it's a good question.
Yeah, I
It
think.
comes out of the trust fund.
Trust
It comes
fund.
out of the 5-year work plan. That was out of the general revenue. It did not.
Yep.
So that's just so that's kind of just a reordering of our District 7 money?
No. If it had come out of the trust fund,
it
that
would
would be, when it comes out of general revenue,
It
is
did
not.
come out of general revenue?
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. So it's in addition to?
Correct.
Awesome.
Correct.
Thank you.
Correct.
We make sure to work on that.
Yeah,
Right.
thank you.
But if you saw this year when it comes to the road projects, every single road project, every appropriation was out of the trust fund. Actually, the road projects.
They were out of the trust fund?
Every road project eventually came out of was out of the trust fund. Not just ours, everybody's. That's why you probably saw a lot get vetoed as well. But yours didn't.
But
So it's a good thing. So moving on, so Pasco County Fire Station number 4, again, that was Senator Burgess, and that was, or Chair Burgess and Chair Yeager. Obviously, with the assistance, and we have some firefighters here that are here today, they were very supportive of this appropriation and worked very hard and spent some time, obviously, up in Tallahassee as well. So we're very appreciative of the team from Pasco Fire Rescue for all the efforts and work that they put into this project. Now, the unfortunate thing is the Pasco Emergency Shelter, which, where'd he go? we lost Oakley. Well, I guess we can wait for that in a second if he comes back. I can come back to it. But Sea Pines flood abatement, that, as we know, that was not funded. That was never in the budget. But again, the Pasco Emergency Shelter, I'd like to wait for him, but we can, if he wants to talk about it when he comes back, we can as well.
We'll bring it back up.
But we can talk about that at the end. You were doing the tax budget?
I can
Yep.
jump in here. I kind of told you, there's two things that really led the session, and one of it was the tax package, and we can all jump in. People saw everybody kind of arguing, kind of fighting, and I said, isn't it a terrible thing? The legislature is fighting on how to give money back to you. Really what it was. The governor had a way, Senate President had a way, the Speaker of the House wanted to reduce your sales tax. Just to let you know, the state sales tax has never been reduced in state's history, not once. So, people were looking at, wow, he's only trying to do it by 3/4 or half of a penny, but that would have been. But and also, the biggest thing that came out was the repeal on the business rent tax. And people kind of say, what is that? Well, when you see all these folks in all these offices up and down, and those were the HVAC and plumbers, or those even where you work out of the gyms, they all pay a rental tax. And they reduced it some last year, and they got rid of the remainder this year. Some of the big items, though, obviously were in there, will have impacts on us.
Well, that one has impacts on us.
Yes, it does.
$7 million.
I think it was close to 7 now, Rob? A little bit of 7, it was 3, it was 7 and building up. There was a lot of reflection on rural communities. The rural bill did not pass, so Senator Albritton wanted some investments for rural communities in there. The same things that you've always seen before about, giving back the special dollars that we do for going back to school was made permanent. They also made sure to do a lot of things that had to do with tourism in the state of Florida. People come here to fish. People come here to hunt. They made sure a lot of those items went in there with that type of economic development to go as a tourism. And one of the things I'll say, this is going to come back next year. Let Steve and others kind of talk about it. Next year is going to be a little bit tougher, and I'll give you that little financial outlook. But in the end, it is the part that extended session longer than what we would all want. I will tell you again, if you look at some of these, we've talked about these before, the ones for hurricanes and all those are being made permanent. So you no longer need to come back and do it year by year. But there was quite a bit in there. We can go to the next one and kind of jump into the legislative and policy outcomes, and I'm going to let Mike kind of kick us off on Senate Bill 1080.
Thanks, Sean. Real quick, I'm going to go back to, if I could, just the appropriations. Commissioner Oakley, we were talking about appropriations. Unfortunately, one of the ones that was vetoed was the emergency shelter, as we know. I can tell you that, Chair Burgess and Leader Whip Maggard were obviously disappointed. They wanted to see that go through. It was hanging on till the end. not just the 25,000, but it was getting close at the end to actually funding it for a large amount. It got caught up in the world of what's happening with emergency management and where those funds going. So they want to bring that back next year and try again. So.
Okay.
And Chair
make a
Starkey,
suggestion?
can I just bring up one more thing to you? Back to the road. So the trust fund, it's not the same trust fund that your project's going. It's a separate trust fund, just so you know.
Different than District 7 work
Correct.
product?
Correct.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So it is a trust fund, but it's a different
Not
pot.
affecting our other
Not the-
projects.
Correct. It doesn't touch your stuff.
Okay.
Okay.
And hopefully none of the other counties in District 7 are touching our money either.
I don't, to other county? No.
We'll find out at our MPO
Yeah,
meeting.
okay. So obviously, a lot of bills. We could be here all day to talk about the bills, but there's some things that obviously Ralph and the team wanted us to go over. So the first one we're going to talk about is SB 1080, Local Government Land Regulation. I'm going to hit some highlights on this. As it states here, it imposes strict review timelines and refund penalties for development permits, bars caps on monthly hearings that would delay decisions, and expands administrative approvals for agriculture enclave development. So again, let me do some highlights and get in the weeds a little bit. One of the things it does is it modifies the threshold vote required to approve an impact fee from 2/3 to unanimous going forward. So if you decide to erase impact fees, it has to be a unanimous vote of this body moving forward. In addition, it also requires local governments to implement an increase in impact fees in at least 2, but not more than 4 equal annual increments. Now, I've had some conversations with David Goldstein on that as well, so he's in tune with what's happening, and I know the planning department's working to make sure those, when they move forward, they're abiding by those new rules. Let's talk a little bit about public hearings and comp plan amendments. It also specifies in certain comprehensive plan amendments that are not adopted, plan amendments are not adopted at a second public hearing. The amendments must be formally adopted within 180 days of the second public hearing, or the amendments are actually deemed withdrawn. So some of these things mean that obviously your planning department, where's he at? There he is, are going to have to expedite things obviously much quicker than they
You said
do
after
normally.
the first hearing, between the first and the second hearing?
Specifies if certain comprehensive plan amendments
we've
are
never
not
done
adopted
that.
at a second public hearing, the amendments must be formally adopted within 180 days of the second
That's
public hearing, or the amendments are deemed withdrawn.
What they're referring to is the transmittal hearing and the adoption hearing.
Okay.
There were, we actually had some issues where that.
They didn't go?
That period was too long. There are multiple counties in the state that have had that problem, and so they're clarifying in the legislation what happens if we miss the deadline.
Something else that your team's going to have to obviously work towards and work on is that within 30 days of receiving an application for approval of a development permit or order, a local government must review the application for completeness and either issue a written notification to the applicant indicating that everything required, or everything that was required was submitted, or specify in writing anything, areas that are in a deficit. So for applications that do not require a final action through a quasi-judicial hearing or public hearing, the bill requires the local government to approve with conditions or deny the application for a development permit within 120 days after the local government has deemed the application complete. So I know, again, David, you're probably working on that now, but that's something you're going to have to move forward with doing. Something else just to highlight, for applications that do require a final action through a quasi-judicial or a public hearing, local governments must approve with conditions or deny the application within 100 days after the local government has deemed the application complete. A local government and an applicant may agree in writing or in a public meeting or a hearing to extend the time or the process as long as the applicant agrees to that. Okay. Let's, if we could, let's move on to 6.
Wait.
Yep,
But
go
there's
ahead.
more of that Senate Bill 180 that jumped in at the very end.
That's 1080, not 180.
180. We're going to go to 180 in a minute.
Believe me, we've gotten 1080 and 180 mixed up from one source.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
right.
We're going to go to 180 next.
I get my numbers mixed up.
That's okay.
Well, you also
They're very
remember
similar.
1080, actually, we got ecstatic. Florida Association of Counties worked immensely in this bill. It actually died in the Senate. They pulled off some of the language that had to do with the agricultural enclave language and brought that bill back to life. So I just want to give you some also kudos to the Florida Association of Counties. And the next bill, 683, I think it was Griffiths did this bill, and it's really just a new era of code review, I'll say. I mean, it sets statewide synthetic turf standards, requires under the 35-day deadline for local governments to act on changes. It also, I put some notes on my own, private providers will use AI and required to use some software-based review systems to also expedite their channels. Expands the use of the private inspectors I was just talking about, and prohibits permit denials for missing builder-owner contracts. So again, I call it the new era of code review.
What does that last one mean?
What's that?
What does that last bullet mean?
Prohibits permit denials for missing builder-owner contracts. That Andrew wrote this and worked on that bill, so he's not with me. Do you remember that one? I will get back to you on that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Admittedly.
Sean or retired Commissioner Moore,
What does that mean?
were there, when they're going through local government changes like this, is there any feasibility kind of study, high-level conversation about the money it takes to have to expedite or hire staff, or what we need to do, the cost associated with it? I'm not looking to get in detail, I'm just curious if in the back.
Yes, a bill analysis does take into context any type of cost that would take to the state or to a local government. But you remember, some of these are coming in quickly, and some of the times we're reaching out to your staff, hey, what is this impact? Because an amendment can come up that they do, and that's being presented by tomorrow by 5 p.m. So how quickly are you able to do those? But in the end, the bill analysis will have them. Pardon me?
As you know, most of the bill analysis say no impact to local
Correct.
government.
That too. Yes, sir.
I hear the answer.
Yeah. All right, the next one, real brief on this one. Again, a little bit more with streamlining permitting, kind of like what the other bill did. Fire prevention bill is going to be doing some streamlining for small fire alarm sprinkler systems. I put some other thing here to help with the permitting. It's going to require local governments to refund 10% of permit fees per day if deadlines are missed. And the last one enhances inspection and reporting in limits of ordinance enforcement to those who have
Is that only require the 10% of permit fees for a sprinkler?
That's what I had it on, correct.
Not
the overall.
any other?
Correct.
Just specifically for a sprinkler permit?
Correct.
Okay.
Mike's going to jump in here on 381.
We'll go quick on plating. As you know, Madam Chair and Commissioners, that a lot of these bills are a result of sometimes mishaps by certain local governments or counties. That's where I feel HB 381 came from. There were some counties out there that were holding up plats, and after the development was approved, and upsetting quite a few people. It wasn't Pasco County, but that was happening where they were bringing those back and continuing plats and continuing plats. That's not the normal course of business, as we all know. So basically what this says is going forward is that plat approval must be done without the need of going before the legislative body, which would be the Board of County Commissioners. So plat approval would be administrative. So the county administrator would either assign him or herself to approve the plats, or assign that to somebody else within the team moving forward. Personally, I don't think it's a bad thing. I think when I sat on this board, I was like, why are we approving these plats? We already approved the agreement.
Sometimes I need to make sure they have certain things in it.
Yeah, but I don't think this is, to
you
me, I don't
get
think it's that big a
issue
deal.
going on at
You know,
New River.
take something off your
Newtown.
plates, and administratively, you have a good team here that's gonna obviously be able to focus on what's right or wrong.
Okay?
Okay, utility relocation, you wanna take that, Sean, or
Yep, I'm going
Steve?
to tell you
Okay.
real quick. So real quick, you talk about a bill where they did come in and ask us on the cost, and that was 818. They absolutely came in and said, what is it going to cost your county? And it was huge numbers that they were getting. So this bill may not be as pretty as when it came at the end, but it's a lot better than when it started. Now, the grant program, and there is specifically in law. Let me tell you what it literally says in law now. The law now states the burden is not shifted to local government. So to just let that settle in for me, that was the first time we ever got into law that this in future could not be shifted. It requires FDOT, I can show you that one, 50%, creates a grant program, and that grant program, if that empties and there's not in there, they still cannot go to the counties for the rest of that funding shields local governments from financial responsibility. But I will tell you, the Florida Association of Counties worked hard on this.
Yeah.
Your staff gave us these amounts. We were meeting with the Senate President and Speaker's office. So I will say, Seth, that is one of the areas where we did get the information on a huge impact.
And I talked to some of the guys, I can't remember the name of the company, the big one that does the cables. They said, they told me they're putting $80 million, the state is in a fund for this. That was the number they told me. But I was really glad to hear we're not on the hook for it. Yeah.
Okay, here's the big one. So 180 will, have an impact on many departments within Pasco County government, all the way from obviously EM to planning, from the fire rescue, pretty much across the board. It also on a state level too, DEM there's a lot of requirements for DEM as well on the state level. So let me just hit some of the highlights. We could literally talk about this bill for probably hours. Yeah, it's long, detailed. So some of the larger impacts. As you can see, post-storm permitting. Counties must adopt and publish expedited post-storm permitting plans and recovery checklists. Debris management. Counties must apply for DEP authorization for at least one debris site, encouraged to amend solid waste contracts. Something else when it comes to debris management as well is that there's a part of this bill that talks about your contractors that you hire it's really pushing it where they can be penalized or fined if they don't move forward with doing their job when it comes to, say, debris pickup or something associated with the storm. So there's penalties not just for the county, there's penalties from a vendor for not moving through with something. So you hire somebody to pick up debris, they don't do it, there's penalties if they don't move forward with doing that as well. Here's a big one, fee protections. Local governments are prohibited from raising building inspection fees for 180 days.
Did somebody do that? Here we waived them? And people are raising them? That's unbelievable.
There were some knee-jerk reactions. You figure if people had flood mitigation, they went into moratoriums, in other words, around the state. So this was a reply to a lot of the counties and cities.
Correct. And you see some people involved in the bill, they lived in coastal communities. They had a lot of municipalities in their district, and obviously there were some mishaps that they were responding to.
Madam Chair?
Yeah.
Quick question. With post-storm permitting, even debris management, you've got FEMA requirements, et cetera, FEMA contracts.
Mm-hmm.
They want us to do certain things to stay in the NFIP. Does that get factored into when you say expedited permitting? Because if people have to do certain things all the way through, it's a process.
I don't recall it did the FEMA-specific items, and there was more of the ones that you had on your bill.
Because they changed the rules on us mid-storm cleanup.
Yeah, I don't see anything in the legislation that even mentions FEMA.
We could not dictate to be faster than what the
Okay.
Yeah, I don't.
But again, a lot of this was coming from post-natural disasters, and it does go retroactive back to August, I think, of 2024.
That's where we're, yep.
And it limits to 2027.
Is part of it they're trying to push AI as well? You mentioned it earlier. Because I know there's some programs out there we might be able to even join in on.
That was one of the reasons why I mentioned that in the bill. They're hoping that they see the private sector does it, that the governments would also be considering to do that to expedite the process.
Yep. So if a hurricane fell or made landfall within 100 miles of the county or municipality, within 100 miles, doesn't mean you had to get hit by it within 100 miles. There's a lot of things that triggers. So it bars moratoriums. It also bars restrictive land use regulations post-hurricane. So for example, a moratorium on construction, reconstruction, or redevelopment of any property. So the way I interpret this is it means that you cannot have a moratorium at all. We have talked to your county attorneys about this, but that's the way I interpret it. I'll let them give you their interpretation, but I read in black and white. To me, that's what it states. And when it says a more restrictive or burdensome, any type of amendment to the comprehensive plan as well. So we talk about land use regulations, anything you can't touch, that you can't make the comprehensive plan more restrictive. That also includes anything, procedures coming with the issuance of a site plan or a development permit or a development order as well. That's all in this bill. A lot. There's a lot. I mean, we can answer as many questions as you want on it in the time that allows, but If you have additional questions, feel free to reach out to us. Happy to have this conversation. I know we've had conversations with a lot of you. Like I said, I've had conversations on multiple occasions with Mr. Goldstein as well. And we'll continue that to find out any answers.
I do have a question.
Please.
I have a question, and sorry, I got a medical text here from a family member, so
no.
I had to read it. So on that last bullet, did you talk about that one?
That's
Okay.
what we just talked about, yeah.
So, it's funny because I understand this came from Manatee County, a builder in Manatee County. And at NACO, I talked to Manatee County commissioners who say they're gonna try and get a carve out from this, which is funny when it was potentially caused by them. But I am wondering if it's possible that we could talk about that next year for counties who are within X amount of time of finishing their comp plan. Because we have been working for 3 years on our comp plan revision. I mean, the community needs this from 2006. So I'd like, and then it puts a freeze on us and all the money we've spent getting that done to enact our LDCs. So
Correct.
I think we should talk about counties who are within certain amount of completion or have finished a recent comp plan, you know, the revisions, which they want us to do, that maybe we can get some kind of carve out.
Sure, and those are conversations we can have with you and your fellow commissioners, and to having conversations with legislators, if that's how you guide us.
I think, and I was going to bring up again, I think that a workshop that we did a couple of years ago worked out really, really well, and it's something we should consider in that type of information come in. We have two we're going to go through.
I was going to say real quick. So it is noon, a little afternoon. It's
Wait,
up to you.
I'm
Do you
sorry,
want us
I gotta go
finish
back
up?
to a question on that
Okay,
one,
go
it
ahead.
just came to my mind. We have all this FEMA money, or HUD money. We have a certain amount of time to spend it. Some are gonna require land use change, potentially.
A more restrictive land use change than you currently have?
Well, I don't know, it depends on what we're gonna try and do over there on the coast. Now they're restricting us from what we might want to do with some of our money that we have only a certain amount of time to do it in, right? Do you see any conflicts there?
I think as we get into the implementation phase and we actually see the projects as they come to fruition, we can better make that assessment. But you're not wrong to assume that there could be an impact.
Again, restrict is a key word, though. You could free it up and make it easier.
Well, let's say you want to get rid of a mobile home park that is in a flood, getting whacked and whacked and whacked by a storm.
But if it was voluntary.
Huh?
Well, we can have those conversations
I'm
as
just
we get
thinking
closer.
ahead, maybe bad, yeah, all
I
right.
understand.
Thank you, next.
All right, well, so we'll move fast. We have 3 minutes
fine,
for you, I
I'm
guess,
fine.
I was told. TDT, again, no changes this year, did not pass. I could get in the weeds, really. We worked as a team, worked really hard on this. Obviously, you had Adam Thomas come up with some of his team members too. We took them around. This will come back next year. I mean, there's no doubt. We're being told it's going to come back. We'll have to work on this again.
Who's pushing this one?
Well, I don't like to, there's multiple legislators.
Right.
Multiple legislators.
From counties
across
that
the
have a
state.
lot of money?
Well, remember, you know, the argument is also trying to get tax dollars back for property taxes, so this would be the way that.
It's like, this would be a good segue into what Steve's gonna talk about as well. But it's across, Madam
is
Chair,
paid for by our
across the
visitors.
board. And there are people that were part of this bill that live and represent beach areas, by the way, as well, too. So it's not just rural counties that are looking for the money.
No, I don't think it's rural counties. I think it's the big counties that get the big bucks.
Well, obviously, places like Orange County and, Orlando would never
Yes.
want to see this.
Property taxes?
Hey, Commissioners, Steve Shale from the Advocacy Partners. The point about TDT, it plugs in here. There basically were two proposals this year that I think will come back. One is the large county, Orange County, Miami-Dade, being able to use money raised over $50 million for roads and housing, those kind of things. The other was the proposal that came out of the House, which was to basically take the TDT money, give it to you as general revenue, and then give rebates back for property taxes, which I think is what we're gonna see more of that next year. So, next slide here. Sorry. There we go. Sorry. Sorry. I went to liberal arts college. Forgive me.
Dizzy.
So the governor has talked about repealing property taxes altogether. Just in terms of the politics, the Senate has been fairly skeptical about property tax reform in a significant way. The House has taken it on in a fairly aggressive way. Neither one of Governor DeSantis' proposals passed this year, but we will see it back. The House has formed a special committee. It's about 30 members, chaired by Vicki Lopez from Miami and Toby Overdorf from Palm City. Vicki Lopez is a former county commissioner from Lee County, so she has some history in the issue.
And didn't the governor veto their million?
Yes, he did.
Correct.
I thought he vetoed the money
Governor
for
basically
it.
said we have staff that already does this, we don't need to have another study. But the House is approaching it like they're moving forward with a full-fledged study. We talked about increasing the homestead exemption to $500,000. There's a proposal by Senator Martin that is floated around of going to $700,000, which he says would be the inflation adjusted from the very first homestead exemption when we first did that. I think I would not be surprised if they go to the ballot with allowing the legislature to adjust the homestead exemption to give them the power to be able to do those things. And then again, I think the big piece is this one that's shown up in all five of the proposals the House have floated, which is that somebody should not lose their home exclusively because they can't pay their property taxes. I fully expect that we're going to see something, something will definitely come out of the House. Again, I think that there is, I don't know if Sean agrees, but I think there's more of a pause in the Senate about making these big changes, concerned about the financial outlook, which we'll get to in a second. Petition reform, real quick, I want to talk about, because it does, Commissioner Waitman, it does get one of these things that's not really funded. The legislature has, I think, wisely made some changes to try to ratchet down, petition gatherers, make sure that we know who they are, make sure that they're background checked, make sure they're registered. And cut the time that, from the time you get a petition signed, you turn it in, I think has gone from a month to 10 days. The big thing it'll impact Commissioner Corley, not Commissioner Corley, the Supervisor Corley, is every time he gets a petition for a constitutional amendment, he's going to have to send a letter to the voter basically saying, confirming you signed this petition and giving the voter 14 days to rescind their
Who's paying for that, exactly?
You all.
Oh, my goodness. It's a postcard, not a letter.
Correct, yeah. But it will, so that is the one piece of this bill. Again, I think there's a lot of changes in here that are pretty smart. That is the one change that is going to have an impact on the county. So I think that.
What?
Go ahead.
What about, sorry, I know we're in time frame, about the petitioners too, the people, there was some legislation that changed because of the petitioners themselves have to live within the state of Florida.
Correct. Sorry, I was just trying to run it through quickly. Petitioners now will have to live in the state of Florida. They'll have to register with the state. Should be a pretty easy process. We have that process in place now for people that do voter registration. It'll be a very similar process. I think the impact, the piece that will impact the county is this last piece that will allow them, if he gets 25,000 petitions from Pasco County residents, they'll have to send 25,000 letters out to confirm that they did actually sign their petition.
I think one of the reasons for that change was not for this possible referendum for these petitions, but you had people coming from all over the nation that were being bussed in to do these petition drives and get petitions signed, so they changed the law that you must be living in the state of Florida and must register.
Just real quick, moving ahead, and I'm really surprised Florida Association of Counties at the conference didn't really mention some of this, but I kind of put on there uncertainty exists. We just do not know what the next year, but the Revenue Estimating Conference, and I put some of the things in here, it's going to be a weaker in state and national economic variables. We've seen so many things going on with the tariffs. Recently, last week, I just heard the tariffs gave us the best June that we've ever had, but we could end up having the worst July we've ever had. Federal cuts to programs that come down to the state and to the counties, we're already hearing that, we're already feeling that, we're waiting to see what those numbers are going to be. And the forecasting is much less stable from the Revenue and Estimating Conference. When I told you earlier, they gave us our pot of money for 2024 to 25. We exceeded that by $2.8 billion last year. This year, that number has gone, it's a little bit farther down the slide. They're saying no more higher than expecting $384 million for the 2025 to 2026. Why? People are going to be spending a lot less money. We have the issue with the interest rates and consumer confidence. So the last thing I'll tell you is that we also saw when they did the Revenue Estimating Conference, for the first time coming out in June, we had a net negative with population. We've always talked about there's more people coming to Florida. Well, there still is, but there's also more people now moving out. So for the first time in June, we had what we'll call it a net negative, same amount of people coming in, same coming out. So we still have a very healthy state. People are coming here. Homes are getting a lot more expensive. Homeowners insurance has finally
It's
started to
probably
stable a little
the
bit.
folks
So
on the lower end of the socioeconomic
Right.
ladder
But-
leaving for
they do.
less expensive states.
And the last thing, I know a lot of things you were trying to bring up, and I'd like to really encourage y'all to do another workshop like we did a couple years ago. I think we're able to really flesh out a lot of the ideas, a lot of the policy items, and really get you ready for the appropriations.
Yeah, that's currently scheduled for September 9th.
Can I jump in? So something that's strong, though, and something to be positive about is yesterday CNBC came out again and ranked Florida as the nation's #1 economy. So that's pretty positive news.
Okay, and then real quick, just looking ahead, 2026, January 13th, session convenes. The committee meetings start up October 2025. So in preparation for that today, after this afternoon, I'll be sending out an email to the organization asking back for policy and funding initiative proposals to come back to me by July 29th so we can plan ahead and prepare for the September 9th meeting that we will have, and then extend an invitation to our legislative delegation for you all to finalize your priorities for the 2026 legislative session. And with that, I'll bring it to an end.
Madam Chair?
Yep.
I'd like to say, this was a big year for us, especially for the previous year, we got next to nothing between all the vetoes and stuff getting through. So I think we made a great move hiring the three firms together. You guys worked together very well, no matter who was going on. We had at least one of the groups with us every step of the way. You cooperated great, and again, from what I see we got compared to what I expected, you guys did a phenomenal job, so thank you.
It's because we have more of a lobbying team.
All right, thank you, guys. We will break for lunch.
That was good.
Ways and wildlife depend on you to keep them healthy. Excess fertilizer, grass clippings, trash, oils, and pet waste wash into gutters and storm drains when it rains. Stormwater carries these pollutants